So on one hand, I felt like an author rock star. But when I walked over to these huge windows overlooking Lake Michigan, it was just...
She's one of the most influential voices in emotional well-being, and her work has impacted the lives of millions around the world.
And I turned around and I collapsed onto the bed and I burst into tears because I realized that it's called building your inner home for happiness. So it's easier to remember it this way. A home has 7 main components. The average person has 60,000 thoughts a day. And for the average person, 80% of those are negative. It's called, we inherited it from our cavemen ancestors. Don't beat yourself up for having it. Well, that means 90% of our happiness set point is, I say hallelujah to that. Science has cracked the happiness code here. I think this should be taught in all of the schools because...
Welcome to the Swedish Wealth Institute podcast. I'm Daniel Wood, your host. And as always, our mission here is simple. It's to give you the right mentor at the right time and the tools to create your dream life from the inside out. Today, you're about to meet someone who has transformed the lives of millions of people all over the world. Marci Shimoff, New York Times bestselling author of Happy for No Reason, Love for No Reason, and a leading voice in the hit movie, The Secret. She's one of the most respected teachers on emotional well-being, fulfillment, and creating success that isn't dependent on your circumstances. This episode is different. Marci will help you understand the foundation of wealth, not just how to make money, but how to hold it, grow it, and attract more of it by upgrading your inner state. Of course, as you know, we believe in giving first, and so we've prepared a special gift for you today. You can download our Wealth Blueprint completely free at the SwedishWealthInstitute.com. Link is in the show notes. This blueprint shows you the 7 pillars we use to help thousands of people transform their financial path. Go grab it after listening to the episode, of course. If you haven't already, please make sure you follow and subscribe because you never want to miss any of these amazing conversations. All right, let's dive in. Here is Marci Shimoff on happiness, inner alignment, and building the emotional foundation for financial freedom. I'm really excited about this interview because, you've written the book, Happy for No Reason. And what it does, it kind of challenged me because I am very goal oriented, right? That's where I pull my energy to. And a lot of my happiness comes from achieving or on the way to achieve a goal. And your book is all about being the opposite, where it shouldn't be purely outer factors. It should be more inner factors. So I wanted you to teach us and teach me personally some about that. What does it mean, happy for no reason?
So Daniel, I can so relate to you. I also was extremely goal oriented. And what I found is that there is this myth that I call the myth of I'll be happier when. And it's the myth of I'm going to be happier when I make more money. I'm going to be happier when I get a better job. I'm going to be happier when I get married. Oh no, I'm going to be happier when I get divorced. And it's always out there. And here's the reality. You can create success. I actually said this in the movie, The Secret, that we think that success is the key to happiness. It's not. But happiness is the key to fulfilling success. So let me break down what that means. We've been taught in our society that to be happy for good reason. When I get enough reasons, then I will be happy. And what I've seen and what we've all seen is that there are lots of people who have lots of good reasons to be happy. And they're some of the most miserable people on the planet. So the opposite, however, when we create greater success, when we create greater happiness inside, the success can flow more easily, but it's also fulfilling success. So here's what I found and why I call it happy for no reason. We all have something called a happiness set point. And it's like a thermostat setting. And no matter what happens to us, whether it's good or bad, we will hover around that thermostat setting unless we do something consciously to change it. And I'll give you an example. If you won the lottery, people think, oh, well, all I'd have to do is win the lottery and then I would really be happy. If you won the lottery, you would be happier for a month, 2 months, a year. But within about a year, the research shows that you would return to your original happiness set point. And the same is true of people who have tragedies happen to them. Usually within about a year, they return to their set point. So the happiness set point is the key to our happiness. It's not those external circumstances. And here's how the set point is determined. It's 50% genetic. So if right now you're thinking, I'm in trouble. I was born with those bad genes. Don't worry. I'm going to tell you some good news about that in a minute. It's only 10% your circumstances. And that's what everybody is running around trying to change in order to be happier.
The circumstances are fleeting. Is that the reason?
Fleeting. They're fleeting.
You get a little boost and then it comes back, or you get a dip and then you come back. So it doesn't actually move the therapy.
It doesn't move the needle. Right. So the other 40% is what moves the needle the most. And that's our habits of thoughts and behavior. That's where we really have the most leverage in happiness. But I'm going to take it a step further and go back to that 50% that was genetic.
Yep. I'm sure a lot of people listening now are going like, wait a sec, I can't change my genes. What do I do now? Well,
the good news is there are many scientists in the field of epigenetics, which is the field that studies your genes. Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief, is one of them. And what they found is that our genes can be influenced or changed by changing our habits of thoughts and behavior. Well, that means 90% of our happiness set point is something that can be changed. And, I say hallelujah to that. I mean, science has cracked the happiness code. We know how to be happier. I think this should be taught in all of the schools, because the reality is the only reason, Daniel, that you want that success is because you think it will make you happier. And what I'm saying is, let's just fast track it. Let's cut to the chase.
Let's just be happy now.
Let's be happy. Let's raise the happiness set point. And what's cool is when you raise your happiness set point, all of the benefits flow. The research shows that people who are happier make on average more than $1 million more over their lifetime. They're more successful in any career path. They're more fulfilled. They have better relationships. On average, they live 9 years longer. They're 1/3 less likely to get sick. So there's a lot of fringe benefits of being happier, and, success being one of them. So
let's go into the how of that. If I'm right now very circumstance based and I'm charging after my goals, how do I start changing my thought patterns to habitually raise it, not just a temporary, like, yes, I can get really excited, but how do I actually make that a permanent raising of the thermostat?
Yeah, that is the $1 million question. And I'm happy to go through that with you. I first, if I may, I just would love to share with you why I came to this.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
I am
give us your background.
I was like you, Daniel. I wanted those achievements. And I wanted those achievements because, people always think, well, weren't you born happy? And the answer is, I was born depressed. I came out of the womb with existential angst. I had a great family. I had great circumstances. And I just had this kind of dark cloud around me. I was depressed. And so when I was a kid, the only thing that made me feel better was sugar. So I became a sugar addict because, I'd get a sugar high and I'd feel good. That would last about 20 minutes and then I'd crash. By the time I was in high school, I was 35 pounds overweight. I was even more depressed. So when I was in my 20s, I decided I am going to set goals for myself. And once I reach those goals, then I will really be happy. This is what I think most people do. And I am going to share with you my 5 main goals that I figured once I get those, that's it. Because I think people can relate to this. I wanted a successful career helping people. I wanted a wonderful husband or life partner. I wanted fabulous friends, a comfortable home, and the equivalent of Halle Berry's body.
Okay,
Now,
fair.
I
Yeah.
got 4 out of the 5. I do not have Halle Berry's body, but
Well,
I
you're
have a
definitely
very
not
healthy.
35 pounds overweight anymore. So
I'm
you've
not.
done
I'm
very
not.
well.
I feel very, very healthy. I'm almost 68, so I feel great. Truly, truly. So I worked really hard, Daniel, to get all my ducks in a row for all of that. And I had a turning point moment. It was in 1998. I had 3 books in the top 5 on the New York Times bestseller list all at the same time. I had just finished giving a speech to 8,000 people, and I had autographed 5,432 books. My client had hired a massage therapist to keep massaging my hand every 15 minutes so I could keep on autographing. So on one hand, I felt like an author rock star. But after signing that last book, I went up to my hotel room, which was the penthouse suite that my client had gotten for me. And I walked over to these huge windows overlooking Lake Michigan. It was just a spectacular view. And I turned around and I collapsed onto the bed and I burst into tears. And I burst into tears because I realized that I had all those things I needed. And I still felt that emptiness inside that I'd had as a kid. And I realized that I could no longer fool myself into thinking that just the next thing was going to do it. Because just the next thing would do it for a little bit, but it wouldn't hit that deep, deep place of, I'm talking lasting happiness. I'm talking the thing that doesn't depend on what's going on out there. Even when there's a dip in the economy or when something's a little rocky in a relationship, or that still I am, happy for no reason. My definition is an inner state of peace and well-being that doesn't depend on our circumstances. That's what I wanted. So I went out and I started interviewing all of the top researchers in the field of happiness. And I interviewed 100 unconditionally happy people who had that lasting happiness.
How did you find someone who was unconditionally happy?
Yeah.
What was that definition?
Well, and I started doing, by the way, what they were telling me to do, and it worked. Within a really short period of time, I got happier and happier. And I thought, if this is going to work on me, this is going to work on anybody. And that's when I started teaching it. I found them everywhere. I found them through talking to people. Who do you know that's the happiest person you know? And then I would interview that person and see if they were circumstantially happy, or if they really, and it was self-proclaimed, that they were happy no matter what. And many of them didn't know they got there. My dad was actually deeply happy. He was a happy for no reason guy. And I asked him one day, I said, Dad, what can I do to be happy? What did you do? What can I do? And I actually asked him, what's your best advice for life? And he looked at me and he said, honey, just be happy. So then I turned to him and I said, so Dad, how do I be happy? And he looked at me and he said, honey, I don't know. He didn't know. Many of the people who are deeply happy, and you think about the people who are happy for no reason in your life, many of them were born that way because we haven't been taught how to develop that. So I dug it out of them.
You were saying with your, basically the way you were getting dopamine and, that sugar rush from eating. And I know, people have all kinds of habits, like that. It can be, it's your coffee, it's your smoke, it's your drugs, it's your alcohol, it's even, positive ones. It can be, training at the gym or chasing goals, but they're still, just trying to get that hit of dopamine. How do you change that habit? And, how do you move that center from outside to inside?
So you start developing the habits of happiness. And you asked me earlier, what are those? So let me just tell you, I found that there are 21 main happiness habits that anyone can practice. Now, 21 is a lot. So I looked at those and I saw, well, these fall into 7 main categories. And what I want to do is I want to go through these 7 main categories And Daniel, I want you, as I'm going through these, to look for where are you the weakest? What's your Achilles heel? Because wherever you're the weakest, that's where you want to start. And different, we all are different. So I'm going to ask everybody who's listening, where are you the weakest? Now, I know it's hard for people to remember 7 of anything. So I created.
Yeah, I just got my pen and paper ready so I can take notes here.
But I created a metaphor that makes it easier to remember, an analogy. It's called building your inner home for happiness. So it's easier to remember it this way. A home has 7 main components. It's got a foundation. It's got 4 corner pillars. It's got a roof, and it's got a garden. Okay, so this is how this relates to the 7 main areas of happiness. The foundation is taking responsibility for your life and your happiness. What that means is not showing up as a victim in life. And you know you're a victim when you're blaming, shaming, or complaining, blaming others for your unhappiness. Well, I can't be happy. Look at, how my husband is. Or shaming, which is blaming yourself. Or complaining, which is blaming the circumstances. How could I be happy? It's so miserable outside, or it's the economy, or whatever. So when you're a victim, no chance for happiness.
Right. Yeah, I think it was Brian Tracy that told me, he always said the saying, if it is to be, it's up to me.
That's it. That's it. It's about really being a co-creator of your life. So the first one is, do you show up very often in blaming, shame, or complaining? Then that's the foundation. Then there's the 4 corners. The first corner, 4 pillars. The first pillar is the pillar of the mind, our thoughts. Do you have happiness robbing thoughts? Do your thoughts sabotage your happiness? And by the way, this is one that pretty much everybody's weak in, and we can talk about that a little later after I go through all these. Then there's the pillar of the heart. Do you live with an open heart? I have never met a happy person, truly happy person, who had a closed heart.
How do you define what is an open or a closed heart? What does that actually mean?
Do you live with kindness, with generosity, with love, with openness, with the ability to forgive? Do you live with gratitude? So that's open-heartedness. The opposite of, and by the way, that is towards others and towards yourself. Are you compassionate with yourself? Are you kind and loving towards yourself? We can talk a little bit more about that later too, after I go through these, because that's a tough one for people. Then there's the pillar of the body. The pillar of the body is, do you have the biochemistry of happiness? Do you have enough dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, those happiness chemicals? And that's, by the way, where I was the weakest, unquestionably. And that's where I needed to start. And we can talk about
so
that.
How would you fix that? Because my brother has some of those issues.
So what I'd love,
and so he gets medicine for it.
Yeah. So let me do this. Let me go through all of the 7 areas first, and then we'll circle back and I'll go deeply into each of those.
That sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So then there's the pillar of the soul. And that is, how connected are you to the bigger energy of life? I don't care whether you call it God, the universe, divine, creative intelligence, nature, doesn't matter. But do you feel connected to a bigger energy in life? Then there's the roof. The roof is your purpose or passion in life. Are you living an inspired life? Are you doing what you are here on the planet to be doing? And then finally, there's the garden. And the garden is the people in your life. Are you surrounded by roses and gardenias, the people that uplift you and support your happiness? Or do you have some weeds in your garden? Maybe some of those people who drag you down and choking out your happiness. So those are the 7 areas. So I'm just going to quickly go through them again. And I want you to pick out where you're the weakest. So the foundation is being a victim in life, not taking responsibility for life. Then there's the pillar of the mind, your thoughts, the pillar of your heart, your feelings, your love, the pillar of the body, your biochemistry, the pillar of the soul, your connection to the universe. The roof is your purpose or passion in life, and the garden is your relationships, the people you surround yourself with. So everybody, I want you to identify, where are you the weakest? And Daniel, you're the guinea pig. Tell me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that it is surprisingly hard. It wasn't one that really stood out over the others. I mean, I feel like the foundation, I'm fine, right? I know it's my responsibility. That one's natural for me. The roof, I should say 90% of the time I feel great about. There are still a couple things that got to get cleared out from past projects, but overall that one's fine. I have amazing people around me, so that part is good. But and physically, no issue, I would say. So I'm happy with where I'm at there. So the other three kind of stood out a little bit more to me.
So the mind, the heart, and the
And the
soul,
spiritual side.
and the
Yeah,
spirit.
exactly.
All right. Well,
And so,
let me talk
yeah.
about each one of those. We'll break those down about where you can start. You asked about the body one because you're your brother, and on. So let me just address that one first. And by the way, I do not. If you're listening and you're on medication, do not go off of your medication without medical supervision. Absolutely do not. And I have had a number of people who have been able to go off medication by creating enough of the happiness chemicals in other ways. There are
Yeah, because
certain,
I'd love to share this with my brother who has some of these issues.
yes. So I have, in Happy for No Reason, I speak about, I have an assessment that is, can tell you whether you are low in some of those specific chemicals, whether it's serotonin or oxytocin or GABA, and what you can do about it food wise. So I can't give you specifics right now, but you can take that assessment, and that is there. And of course, sleep and exercise are all key pieces. But I'm going to tell you one little hack that actually works amazingly well that most people don't know about. And it's to increase your serotonin. I learned this from a guy named Gilles Marin, who is a Chi song master. And so if you do this, he said twice a day for 2 minutes, twice a day for a week, it will reset your levels of serotonin. Serotonin is the sort of main happiness chemical, and serotonin makes you feel good, and it also helps you produce melatonin. Melatonin is what helps you sleep well, and melatonin, when you sleep well, helps produce serotonin. So there is a serotonin melatonin cycle that goes on that relates to your happiness and sleep, both feeding each other. So here's what you do to increase your serotonin. You go out in the sun. Now, if you don't have sun, I'll tell you in a minute what to do instead. But if you do have sun, you want to go out in the sun in the morning and in the afternoon, and you look towards the sun with closed eyes. That's the most important key here. Got to close your eyes. Do not look at the sun. Close your eyes and face the sun. And imagine allowing the sun's rays to come in through your closed eyelids and to warm up and light up your pineal gland in the middle of your brain. And just imagine that you do this for a couple minutes. You can also imagine that warmth washing down through your body. And it lights up actually the whole hormonal system. But you do it for 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the afternoon. And within a week, you will notice a difference in your serotonin levels and your happiness levels. It's the first thing I tell people to do when they come to me and they are feeling just a little down, is to try that. And now,
I love
if
that.
you don't,
I mean, I take a half an hour walk every morning, and
beautiful.
I've felt, huge difference. But I'm going to try, not just walking, stopping
Yes,
and letting that sun come up. But I can highly recommend just getting that natural sun in the morning is huge.
but it's specifically the sun's rays lighting up the pineal gland that stimulates the whole hormonal system with the serotonin. So here's what you do if there's not sun. If there are clouds, there's usually still some rays of the sun coming through the clouds. You can do it while it's still cloudy. That's okay. Just face where those rays might be coming from. And you can even just kind of imagine the sun's rays warming you up. If it's raining, then a substitute is to look at something beautiful in nature for a couple of minutes. It can be flowers. It can be, a tree outside. So nature does help produce more serotonin. This is why we feel better when we go spend time in nature, when we're walking in nature. So, but the fast track is the sun.
All right. So I like that you shared that, because otherwise our advice on body would be a little boring to say, eat right, sleep, and work out, which is, what we all say. So I love that. Love that little bonus exercise.
Little bonus. The other thing is, if you do, find out, take that quiz and find out what you are low in, I give specific recommendations for what to do. If you're low in GABA, what you can take. There's supplements in all of these fields. There's supplements in serotonin. You have to check with your doctor, but there's some things, 5-HTP or tryptophan. If you're on SSRIs, you do not want to be taking those while you're on SSRIs. But they're amino acids. 5-HTP or tryptophan tryptophan is an amino acid that helps produce greater serotonin levels.
Well, we'll make sure to share the link to that assessment in the show notes, so everyone can go and do that, because I think everyone will want to do that. I will do that myself.
Great.
So,
all right, shall we talk about
let's
the
get
mind?
into my weaknesses here. Yeah, let's talk about what I'm bad at.
Okay,
so, mind, heart, and soul. How do I fix myself?
Okay, so let's start with the mind. That's probably the most prevalent. So first of all, I'm going to make you feel better about the fact that you might have some sabotaging thoughts. The average person has 60,000 thoughts a day. And for the average person, 80% of those are negative. It's called the negativity bias. We inherited it from our caveman ancestors. So it's a natural thing. Don't beat yourself up for having it. My friend Rick Hansen, who wrote Hardwiring Happiness, he says he likes to call it the Velcro Teflon syndrome. He says our minds are like Velcro for the negative. The negatives just stick, and they're like Teflon for the positives. The positives slide off of us. So I'll give you an example. If you get 10 compliments in a day and 1 criticism, what do you remember at the end of the day?
I definitely think you feel that painful one a lot more. I tend to be pretty good at focusing on the positive ones myself, though.
Well, that is great, because what I found is that happier people have reversed that tendency to Velcro. They Velcro the positives and they Teflon the negatives. So it becomes more water off a duck's back. So you want to create the neural pathways in the brain. It's all brain chemistry, brain science. You want to create new neural pathways in the brain so that you can more easily remember the positive and Velcro it.
How do we make that change?
3 simple steps. These are backed by neuroscience, okay? Very simple. The first one is to be on the lookout for the good. One of the women that I interviewed for Happy for No Reason, one of my Happy 100, pretends that she is the Academy Awards committee. And her job every day is to give out 5 Academy Awards. So you make it a game. If you got kids, play this game with your kids. Be on the lookout for the good. She's on a walk. She sees a really cute, fluffy white dog. She goes, oh, that dog gets the cutest dog of the day award. Or that gets the act of kindness award. Just be on the lookout. You make it a game. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is you savor the good for at least 20 seconds. It takes at least 20 seconds for the good to register in our brain to create enough juice for new neural pathways. That means you actually have to focus on it and take it in. If it's a beautiful sunset, don't just say, oh, there's a beautiful sunset. Really look at it and feel it, take it in, register it for 20 seconds. If it's a cute dog on your walk, go over to the owner and go, I give out awards every day and your dog gets the cutest dog of the day award. And what happens is you're then talking about it and focusing on it for at least 20 seconds. That's a really key point, that savoring of it. And then the third thing is to go for a 3-to-1 ratio. And what that means is 3 positives to every 1 negative. The negatives are going to happen. Don't beat yourself up for them. But when they do, notice if there's any information in them that's valuable for you. You don't want to you know, so you don't want to spiritually bypass. You don't want to not look at what's important to look at. But beyond that, if it's just an old pattern, you go, oh, there's that old pattern. Let me replace it with 3 positives right now to move more into those new neural pathways. Simple. Focus on the good, savor it for 20 seconds, go for a 3-to-1 ratio. So Daniel, I want you to tell me, is that doable for you?
It's really funny that you say that. I actually have a note on my to-do list that comes up every day, so that whenever I have negative thoughts, I have to list 3 things I'm happy about in my life. And I have an exercise where, because again, one of my big problems is I'm so goal focused, right? And I'm always striving to be better today than I was yesterday. And in theory, that's really good. The problem is that means tomorrow is going to be better than today. And the day after is going to be better. And in 5 years, imagine how much better it's going to be. So it's easy to go kind of into that future. And then from that future, look back at today and go, oh, today sucks. It's going to be so much better then. So what I do when I get into that is I go, all right, let me look at 6 months ago and then tell that, me 6 months ago, what my life is like right now. And, obviously with how my life is, I get very, very happy when I go backwards in time rather than forwards in time.
So Daniel, I'm going to suggest something for you.
Yeah.
Because it's very clear you've got the outer focus. I'm going to suggest that you focus on, I call them the wins. You focus on your wins, not what you haven't accomplished yet, but what you have accomplished. The more you focus on what you haven't accomplished yet in the future, the less you're actually celebrating today. So my assignment to you would be to focus on your wins, but also make sure that at least some of them are internal. They're not just something about out there. It's not like I made 5 successful phone calls yesterday. It's, I actually felt really happy inside yesterday. Or I dealt with an emotional issue that I wouldn't have dealt with as effectively as I did. So not just always the carrot out there. That's why you focus on the wins of today and not always external, some internal.
I like
so
that.
I love that you're doing that 3 things. That's great. But yours is a little bit tweaked to that internal. How's that?
Yeah,
How is that doable?
I like that. Yeah, because I'm very focused on those external goals. So I like that.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I want you to tell me, what is an internal win that you've had in the last few days? An internal win.
Well, it's tied to an outer experience, but it became internal. Yeah, it's an internal emotion. So my son Alex turned 10 this summer. And as his birthday present, he got to choose a trip on where to go. And he said, well, I want to see Barcelona play a football game. So literally, we just came back now at the time of this recording, we just came back from Barcelona. And at the game, we're there watching, and his favorite player, Lamine Yamal, scored, and, Barcelona won by 3-1, which was really fun. But it was the biggest win of that trip was really just seeing his excitement and seeing how happy he was and feeling that I could, give him that and be a part of that. That was really special.
Wonderful. Great. I love that. And that's wonderful. And that is also a little bit externally focused because it's dependent on his enjoyment.
Yeah, well, it was the feeling that I got was what
that you had.
Yeah,
good.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the part I'm trying to get to. But again, it happened from external circumstances, but that, nice warm feeling of being able to bring my son to that was really cool.
Daniel, I also want to reflect to you one thing, and that is that you are very, very aware. You are aware of a tendency towards the external putting of things. And just that awareness is a great thing, because I think what's going to happen is after this conversation, you're going to start going, okay, well, how am I internally going to? Where's my internal gauge? You're going to start doing more of that internal gauging because you've got that awareness so strongly.
Yeah, well, that leads to the second weakness, because I think, the heart is one, like I'm divorced. I got divorced 2 years ago. And obviously there was a lot of pain and stuff that I went through there. So I definitely have a suit of armor. Like obviously with what I do, I'm passionate about, how we help people and the impact we can do. But there is a suit of armor that, keeps a separation in it. So that is a difficulty that I've been working a lot with over the especially last 6 months, on trying to pull off that armor. But it's a very difficult exercise to do.
Yes, I understand completely. I have certainly, I think probably everybody I know has been through some very deep heartbreak of some sort. And it also can be that portal to greater openness as well. So I'm going to share with you, Daniel, something that has been so helpful to me. I learned it from a group called the Institute of Heart Math, and they are the world's leading researchers on the heart and happiness. And they found that when we are feeling angry or frustrated, we go into what's called heart rhythm incoherence, where the heart rhythms are very incoherent. 5 minutes of anger or frustration and heart rhythm incoherence can suppress the immune system for up to 6 hours. Pretty long-term impacts. They've also found that 5 minutes of love and gratitude, that love and gratitude produces coherent rhythms, where the heart rhythms are in these beautiful waves. And 5 minutes of that can stimulate, can improve the immune system, strengthen the immune system for up to 6 hours. So we're not going to do 5 minutes. We're going to do a minute and a half of an exercise that came from them to go into what's called heart rhythm coherence. And so once again, Daniel, you're going to be my guinea pig.
Yep, I'm in.
And I'm inviting everybody to do this along with us, because watching us do this will give you nothing. Okay. So please do this along with us. And unless of course you're driving. So it's 3 steps.
Well, if so, you park the car and then you do it.
That's right. Exactly. So it's 3 steps. You can do this with your eyes opened or closed. I like to do it first time with eyes closed because I think it goes a little deeper. So if you would close your eyes, I'm closing mine.
Yep.
The first step is to simply place the palm of your hand over your heart. Now, this simple act of putting your hand on your heart creates the flow of oxytocin. Oxytocin is one of the happiness chemicals. It's what we feel when we feel bonded and connected with other people, but just your putting of your hand on your own heart starts the flow of oxytocin. Now, the second step is to imagine that you are breathing in and out through the center of your heart. So your inhale comes in through your heart. It can go all the way down to your belly, but you're coming in through your heart, and your exhale goes out through your heart. This is called heart-focused breathing. And you can do this at your own pace, breathing in through your heart and exhaling through your heart. And you may already begin to notice that there's something shifting inside. But the third step is the real key. So now on each inhale in through your heart, imagine that you're breathing in love, ease, and compassion. So every time you breathe in through your heart, breathe in love, ease, and compassion. You can think about somebody who helps you feel that way, or a beloved four-legged, or you can remember a time when you last felt that way. Or you can just say those words internally, love, ease, and compassion, and it'll have the same effect. So another few rounds of breathing in through your heart, love, ease, and compassion. Exhaling through your heart. And one last inhale through the heart, breathing in love, ease, and compassion. And on the exhale, you can slowly take your hand away. And when you feel ready, you can slowly open your eyes. And as you're opening your eyes, just notice, how do you feel different now than you did a minute and a half ago. And so, Daniel, the guinea pig here, tell me, how do you feel different, either physically or emotionally or both?
I definitely feel calmer. I felt, when I put my hand on my heart, I obviously started feeling my heartbeat. And I felt as we were doing this, it slowed down, it calmed down. It wasn't beating as hard, it wasn't beating as fast. And yeah, it was just felt that peace, maybe is a good word.
Yeah. So that is a sign. Most people say, I feel calmer, like you said, or I feel more grounded or centered. Some people have physical sensations. Some people feel warmth and tingling in their hands or in their feet or around their head. Some people feel warmth in their heart. All of these are signs that you are going into what science calls the love response. Now, we've all heard of the stress response, and the stress response has its own biochemistry, its own brain activity, its own heart rhythms. Science is now finding that there is also a love response, and the love response has its own brain activity, heart rhythms, and biochemistry. And here's the thing, doing this once is nothing more than a nice experience. It will not change your life. What will make changes in your life is if you were to do this a couple of times a day for a week or two, you would start to habituate the love response. It would become more and more your default state. I've done this thousands of times. And now all I have to do is go like this. And immediately it starts, the whole love response starts, just because I've trained myself to do it. Now it sounds so simple. And you think, that can't do anything. It's the simple baby steps that really create a change. And I say, don't take my word for it. Use your own life as an experiment and see how it works for you. I do this, Daniel, when I'm standing in line at the grocery store and there's, some slow line and I would feel really frustrated otherwise. I just stand there and I breathe in and out through my heart. Nobody knows what I'm doing. I'm just going like that, and I just breathe in love, ease, and compassion. And it's a totally different experience than going, when is this slow person going to get done? So try it.
I like it. I just added it to my to-do list. So it's going to come up as a daily reminder now to do it at least 3 times a day.
You know what? This is why your life works the way it's working. You actually take the action steps. And at the end of our conversation, I'm going to ask everybody to pick one thing that I've said that they'll do differently to practice, because I don't want you to try 10 of them. I want you to try one at a time. All right. Now, the soul.
Yes, that is the most difficult one, I think, for me to grasp. It's, I'm very good at connecting energetically with my surroundings, with people, but the soul is such a deep and, esoteric question that how do I know if, I'm doing that well or not?
Yeah. So it doesn't come from the head. And that's the biggest challenge.
That might be my problem, right?
Yeah,
my
think that's
brain
your problem.
is constantly those 80,000 thoughts a day. They are on overdrive. Yes.
I know. You're a busy guy. You're a busy guy up here. And there are a number of ways to have that kind of spiritual connection. The most effective, you know what I'm going to say, the most effective is meditation. It's the thing that it's got tremendous amounts of research. I started meditating when I was quite young, when I was 16, and it is the thing that most helped me most quickly, and until I found out about the whole biochemistry piece too. So, I say, find, and start small. Start with the 10 minutes a day of a meditation that works for you. Some people like mantra meditation. Some people do well with breath meditation. Some people do well with contemplation. Some do well with chanting. It doesn't really matter, or prayer, whatever it is that works for you. And that's got to be very, very personal. And the way you know that it's working is you start to just feel more of that connection with life. The other thing I'm going to say, Daniel, is be on the lookout. The be on the lookout for the good was the prescription for the mind. The prescription, part of the prescription for the soul, is look at all of the ways that that life supports you. You know, Einstein, my favorite quote of Einstein's is, he said, the most important question we can ask ourselves is this a benevolent universe? Is this a friendly universe? And basically your answer to that question is going to determine how your life is, you know? And I would say that the most happy people I know believe that life is for them, that that the universe is benevolent, and that everything happens for them, not to them. So if
I say that
something
all the
happens,
time. I love that.
yeah,
I always say that life happens for me. It doesn't happen to me.
exactly. And here's a great question to use to ask yourself: if something's happening to you that you don't feel great about, ask, instead of why is this happening to me, ask this question: if this were happening for a higher purpose, or if this were happening for my benefit, what might that purpose be? And it causes you to look for what might be the gift in that situation. How is it happening for you rather than to you?
One of my mentors once said, talking about specifically this, he said that when the universe wants to tell you something, it starts by whispering in your ear. And if you don't listen, it will tap you on the shoulder. And if you still don't listen, it will slap you across the face. And obviously that's when it starts getting really painful. And I've had a habit in the past of, not listening until I get slapped in the face, which is where, I got ripped off for 400,000 pounds, $500,000 when I was just starting out because I wasn't listening. And at the same time, that could have easily been it happened to me. It's over. It's done. I'm not doing this. But what I see it as, it was when I was investing in real estate at my outset. If everything had gone brilliantly and gone well there, then I would have just been living on a beach somewhere, and I wouldn't have any impact on anyone's life. Because this happened to me or for me, it changed my life's trajectory, and now I can affect people all over the world and have a positive impact. But it might have been easier if I just listened when the universe was whispering rather than wait for the slap.
Absolutely. But I'm glad that you did listen and that you are doing what it is you are here on the planet to be doing, because it's obvious that you are in your flow and your dharma, as they call it, in your calling. And it's fabulous. So hallelujah for that lesson. And I'm sorry that it was as hard as it was, but it's looking for the
well,
gift.
Hey, it was up to me. I could have listened sooner, and yeah. I chose not to.
And now
That's
you do.
on me.
And now
exactly.
You do listen.
Now I do. That's why I needed to learn it. And speaking of meditation there, I've tried to meditate for a long time because I know how important it is. And I finally, just a couple months ago, kind of figured out what I needed to be able to sit down and just peacefully do it. And for me, I just light a candle and I look at the candle for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And that allows me to do it. If I just try to close my eyes and breathe or think or listen to music or something, I can't do 10 minutes. After 5 minutes, I get antsy. So I had to find something that let me anchor and calm myself. So as you say, it can be anything.
Great that you found that. That is so great, because that we really are all wired differently. And I think that different meditations work for different people and at different times in your life. This one might work this right now, and in a year from now, it might be something else.
Yeah. And allowing yourself to be flexible that way, to not be, hey, I found it, I'm done, I don't have to change ever again. Well, so we're going to have you come back on, because we're not even going to have time to talk miracles on this call, which we need to talk about. So you're going to have to come back. Before I let you go, we always end our sessions with a rapid fire round. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You just answer the first thing that comes to mind. And then I know you've prepared something cool for our listeners here. So I'm going to let you share that as well. But are you ready?
I am so ready.
All right, here we go. So one book, not your own, that you gift most for emotional fitness?
The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
Nice. What is a mantra you whisper to yourself when you feel stress starting to creep in?
Everything is happening exactly as it should be. I am well cared for.
Nice. What is one myth about happiness that you'd retire today?
Oh, the "I'll be happy when" myth.
Yep.
I'm going to be happy inside.
What's something silly that never fails to make you laugh?
My husband and I, when we get in a little argument, we do a little thing where we put our heads up towards each other and we pretend we're little dogs. We go, "Rah, rah, rah, rah," and we just it completely bursts out the little friction that we have.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to fight while barking like a little dog. That's brilliant. What is one big thing that's going to happen for you in the next 12 months that you're really looking forward to?
I am, I teach this this program called Your Year of Miracles. It's about living a miraculous life. And I am making it way more experiential. So along with all the ideas about how to live a miraculous life, we are going deeply into the experiences of healing old ancestral traumas and moving truly into living in what I call the miracle zone. And I'm so excited about that.
Nice. Yeah, I can imagine. And so we're already going to link to the assessment that you talked about in the show notes. Do you have something you'd like to give to our dear listeners?
I do. It's called the Happy for No Reason Workbook. And it includes, I mentioned there are 21 happiness habits. It includes all 21 of the happiness habits. And it includes the practice that you can do for each one. So if you feel like, oh, that's where I'm really weak, then you can do the practice. It also includes the assessment including the assessment that I just told you about for the biochemicals. It also includes an overall happiness assessment to see where you are the weakest in the happiness model that I shared, Home for Happiness. And then you can go back and take that a month later after you've been doing some of these practices and see how you do in there. So it's also got a couple pages of wonderful happiness quotes as well. And I am delighted to give this as a gift. I absolutely know that this is a fabulous starting place for anybody who wants to raise their happiness set point. And as I said, the happier you are inside, the more fulfilling success you will attract. So it's not an either or, it's a both and. Happiness and success. That's what I call 200% of life. You get the inner and the outer.
Oh, I love that. And I'm obviously going to have to take that test myself because that's going to be really interesting. So we'll add that to the show notes. So make sure you claim that and go and check that out. Marci, do you want to leave us with any final parting words before you come on the next episode in the future, of course?
Thank you. I do. And, I very often get asked this by somebody when I speak about happiness. And they say, isn't this selfish? What about the world? The world has such problems. And my answer is that becoming happier is the least selfish thing that you can do. Because it's been shown that when you're happier, you affect the people around you. In fact, it shows that your happiness affects at least 5 people out that you don't even know. Your happiness affects your neighbor's son's school teacher's cousin. So the best thing you can do for the world is for you to raise your happiness set point. Your family, it helps your family. And I always love to share this Chinese proverb that I think sums up why I am so passionate about this subject. And it goes like this. It says, when there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. When there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there will be peace in this world. And my prayer and my wish for every single one of us is that we each know that light in our souls. And through that, we help create more peace here on this planet of ours.
I love that. And it's just like the Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror, right? If you want to make a change, start with the man in the mirror.
Exactly.
So definitely not selfish. Let's be happier for everyone else's sake.
There you go. Love it. Daniel, it's
All
a
right.
joy. I am happy for great reason to get to be with you. It's a joy to be with you.
Oh, we appreciate you, Marci. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll obviously see you soon again. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you got value from this episode, please make sure you follow the podcast on whatever platform you listen to this to, so you never miss an episode. We strive to bring you the world's top mentors because your future deserves the best guidance. And as always, we love spoiling our community. So I want to highlight the events we have planned for you in the first quarter next year. We are bringing speakers like Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Marci Shimoff, Nick Vujicic, Jack Canfield, and many more to you. And I want to make sure you grab your free ticket to these coming events. You can find them all on swedishwealthinstitute.com/events, and we'll link to that in the show notes. And please make sure you show up next week for the next episode of the Swedish Wealth Institute podcast, because we're bringing on Eric Edmeades, one of the most insightful experts in the world on human behavior, health, and peak performance. His framework for transforming your mind and body are some of the best in the world, and you definitely don't want to miss this one. Thank you again for listening. Go claim your free ticket, and I'll see you in the next episode with Eric Edmeades.
What do you think would happen if we took that bear and locked it in the fall version of Mendocino County? Things are easier than they've ever been, and we are killing ourselves faster than we ever have. What the hell? And I will put to you that it's that we have something called... I had golf ball sized tonsils that were bleeding and swollen all the time. It wasn't like we had to connect through Copenhagen. And as we started coming in for the landing, the captain comes on and goes, we're bailing on this because there's drones everywhere and we can't land. And we have more anxiety, more depression, more psychotropic drug prescription, more addiction, more suicide than it. There is no mystery about what the human diet is. I accept that in society there is a bit of a mystery about this, but there isn't. That history is a